Yeah, I'm finished. Okay, I'm just very few things I'm explaining. Oh. I made now two things. One is landscape. One is my calligraphy paintings. It is you know that the artist doing things with the things, make beauty or make something, making art. It is artist. But orientally we understand the things. We say poem and calligraphy and paintings. It is we say this is artist, totally making master of the three things. So now I'm just following to the kind of the three things: the calligraphy and poem and paintings. Like the paint, we say wa, landscape, something like the paintings. Yeah, and this is the floor of my brushes, another paintings to make in the landscape. Very natural line. I don't care what I did in my writings. I'm just brochure. This is my another calligraphy. Calligraphy is no letters. Okay, thank you.
Jongku Kim was born in South Korea and he's currently living and working in Seoul. He graduated with BFA from Seoul National University in 1993 and an MFA from London's Chelsea College of Art and Design in 1996. He has exhibited widely in Europe and Asia, and Kim currently teaches in the Department of Sculpture at Ewha Women's University in Seoul. His talent was recognized from an early stage as he received the National Art Competition Grand Prize at the age of 27. He has participated in many international art residency programs, including the PS1 MoMA. It was about 25 years ago when I first met Jongku. I was a young art student in South Korea, and every day I was drawing plastered figures of Roman classics, Agrippa, Caesars, and such, to prepare for an entrance exam for our school. Drawing lifeless characters under dull fluorescent lights didn't inspire me at all, but I tried to draw them as accurately and as pretty as possible. And Kim was then my drawing teacher. He came by and wrote the word, the force, with a capital F next to my Agrippa without much explanation. How can you see force in this thin plaster's bust? I questioned, and took me a little while. But I have come to realize that it is to imagine and capture the vigor and strength of the subject matter at hand. It was also to draw out the force from within myself, who was always timid and cautious. He taught me as an artist to see things that can be seen on the mere surface and to bring out and express myself confidently. And Kim has become my mentor, or Yoda, since I've been talking a lot about the forces since then. I'm honored to introduce Jongku Kim to you all, an artist and a teacher that I respect.
Yeah, I'm Jongku Kim. I make greeting for Korean style. I had already the performance, the the still powder painting and a mobile landscape. Sorry. What I say to I had the three type of my works. One things, the iron painting or still powder paintings. They already in the lobby. There is the 6 piece on the wall, and the small piece the other face the wall. And the other things, the mobile landscape. What I did today, the performance. And the other things to make a photograph, it is landscape photograph. So those are 3 things, the main thing of my works. And the other things, just like in the sculptures things. I didn't, basically sometimes the other people is asking me, what is your major? And what is your main things? I'm artist, but I'm say sculptors. But today I didn't show any sculptures. But I'm sculptors. I made of this steel sculpture. This carving steel. Also before the 1993, the semis are introduced about me in I graduated 1993. It is I had two MA. It's so stupid. I had the MAs in Seoul National School and another MA in Chelsea in London. So I'm graduate BA. It is 1988. So after 1988, I had another sculptures. It is kind of the very different style, the different style, the different shapes. But anyway, now starting to do this work is in 1993, around in the graduate school, making the thesis of about the piece of work. And after that, I did make solo show, 1993. This piece is around 33 a piece, the grinding steel to like the shapes, figure shapes. So, and I'm just going to, this 97, I'm just, move to the London, and I'm just, stop the grinding steel. I don't want to make it sculpturing. I want to try to another things. That times as an artist, we do, the not keeping the all the time same things. We change, make it develop some of another art. This is very strong to me, so that I don't want to make anything, any sculptures, other things. But now I don't want to show to what I did in London. But anyway, and lastly, after graduate in '96 in Chelsea, I was very troubled. I was very hard time in life and then economically, and then most of the things very hard. I got in the studio, and that times I couldn't make any other artwork for 3 months. Only I made of I think the 2 or 3 of the drawing things. That's it. All what I did, all of things for 3 months. During making the work in studio, the professor was the head of Professor Chelsea. He's making information to apply the Lewis Sculpture Trail, open sculpture trail. It is in the south of England. So I'm just apply there. They accept me. I'm just participate there. They want to get more. They want to get 3 of the carving steel work sculptures. I don't want to make a sculpture, but really, day one. Okay, let's make doing things. In my studio, I have 2 space. One space very small. It was in like oil tank space. They didn't change up the make space, and then the other is a little big. So I'm just grinding in the very dark space, oil, the storage space. There's nothing to any window, just window, this metal window, just when I doors lock, totally dark. And just grinding still 3 pieces of the kind of things. And the exhibition there, during the exhibition, they telephoned to, oh, your piece is gone. I was I was there, and then totally my piece is gone. So they looking for my work in the forest, in the river or something, for 1 month. But lastly, they found one piece, this piece, and 2 pieces gone. So when I back to my studio, I found of the steel powder on floor, kind of this. So this powder, it is another thing. Most of my sculptures instead come to me. So the this steel powder, was when I lost the sculptures, I say I lost my form. So I made a book last year. This book is the title is Ex-Sculptors. So I'm sculptor, but I'm ex-sculptors. So after that, I'm just making to the, no, I'm just selecting of the, what is pure filing from my body. This through with the magnetics. I'm just making a naturally make, that times no many idea, just, okay, let's say have the select of my filings. And naturally, they have 2 mountains come to me. One is pure iron filings mountain. The other is dust mountain. It is starting to what I say 풍경 is the landscape. It's I don't want to sometimes speak about the English the landscape. It is not enough what I had a feeling to the landscape. Korean say 풍경. 풍경 is the many of the mention for sound, wind, the total of the circumstance surround me about the landscape, the visually landscape. So that is starting to make calligraphy. It is like that times I a little bit realized about what I did, the grinding steel. It is the Korean, the Oriental master calligraphy. They firstly doing things, just grinding the black stick to on the stone, make black ink. So I did no black ink. I did grind steel to black powder. Black powder, the natural we say black powder how make black. The grind steel, it is burning. The disc grinding make it burnt. Some flicker, some This is after the cool, it make it black. That is black things. So just the calligraphy, 2 things, what I did in this calligraphy. First of my writings, when I did grinding steel, I'm all the times this, when I grinding in the soundproofing space sometimes. Before was in London, it's no soundproofing space. After that, I made a soundproofing space. But when I grinding there, totally, nothing to any come to me, only sound and then dust. And I'm just supply the oxygen. The times I thought of, what things come to me, something like, how can I measure the biggest and smallest in the world? It's something like the 7 years of dream things. Okay, now I'm making I want to make in the 30 minutes. That's why I make so speedily. This doesn't make sense now. Okay, let's go. And other things too, like in the landscape, in the calligraphy things. There's the Chinese characters, Koreans. We are this using sometimes Chinese characters. The other things to like this, today I'm showing to the calligraphy on the floor, but I'm just brush up to the retouch again. That kind of things. I'm just drawing, making with the monitor. I'm just in the calligraphy, the brush up, and then relaying, and making a landscape. both of the relationship to my right, the brush things, and then the on the monitor of the images, they get some very special relationships, and just something like this. And I put was before my sculpture of the standing, the sculpture, the carving steel sculptures. What I say standings, it's like vertical things. But I'm just become down to the like horizontally understand to find of the filings on the floor. So I'm just my eyes is getting. My eyes go through the top of the high ceiling or high sky. But now is after lost my sculpture, lost my form. I'm getting down to the level of the floor. It is horizontal, my eyes. That's why I put my camera instead of my eyes. So you're gonna do like this to, there is some, here is some, you can see of here is this camera. So this camera, they make the calligraphy to this like landscape. So it's like this, same of the images. So the camera and then making some the calligraphy. This is the landscape on the screen, like curtain screens. So it is what I say mobile landscape. Mobile landscape is anywhere I can landscape can move to the showing to any place, no fix on the wall. So like flying things. So the other things too, this is Gwangju Biennale was in a very white space, just making a white space. White space meaning for white, we are saying empty space. So I'm just make calligraphy on the floor, but I thought about when I do the empty, the 3-dimensional space, and put in the showing to the landscape. It is the edge of the line is not clear. I wanted to totally making the empty space the naturally coming up to the landscape. The other things in the France of the Nantes, just calligraphy. Sometimes the calligraphies. This is a lost iron powder. Okay, let's slightly the other. After I'm just explain about the filings, how make it, how dealing with the work now. Okay, this is the iron filings, but the one day really I need a very big powder, but someone they support they sponsor me about the steel powder. This is steel powder is two things. I'm just making it by myself, but sometimes sponsoring some the other powders. But this is when I get the commercial commercially they selling to the powder. It is not interesting me. It is the no good. That's why I'm just make it wet and make it the oxidize, and the hammering and the make salting out. That is another my labor things to make rust color. So I'm just write down to the rust the steel powder painting about what I had the feeling in Nantes, So this sometimes the writing in the French and Korean. So it is like this another landscape. So it is same images. This is camera was there here in making these things. So it taught the writings and the landscape was things. I'm just still ask about myself. And this is a PS1. I was in the 2000 to 2003. The last of show in PS1. The one place they made of my space. I'm just this is English writings. The first times I'm start the writings about the same as Heaney of the poet. It is from the Irish. She got the Nobel Prize the literature. this poem is really, I was so impressed when I was in PS1. So I'm just following to the poem on the floor, the make landscapes like this. So also this is another place of the Berlin's was in just making a performance like on today. And this is a also this is a Nantes, was the same of images too, like in a mobile landscape through the other audience, they can touch up these things. It is they making together. This image is also the kind of starting of quite a long time ago. No, I couldn't mention. Was the starting of my landscape. And put my foot, and compared to the standing to the position of the land, the mountain, that's things. And also this is the mobile landscape. Also this is also mobile landscape. To the the floor. I'm just like in a calligraphy on the with the empty space, like this. And this is another mobile landscape, the exhibition. To the other view is the same place, just the landscape and the still powder paintings. Just what I say, the still powder paintings, it is the dropping line. The dropping lines, what I say, creativity lines. Just the dropping, we couldn't disappear, escape from the creativity. So it is what I say, sad line, or crying line. So some things like this, it is one of the first I made of the big line. This is the heavy weight of the iron powder. They making some human feeling to what I did also. Also to this time, I'm just write down about my paintings. That the Boulder or Denver, there's a Rocky Mountain. So I thought about Rocky Mountain. I didn't go there. But anyway, I'm just a Rocky Mountain. I was interested in Rocky Mountain. I saw the far away. Okay, I'll just explain about when I get this piece on here. Okay, this is another piece of with very old antique sculptures. So it is in France, the Joinville. And also that is in the floating paintings. And I'm just the still powder. It is they need sometimes the wet, making the chemically oxidized. They after that they stick it together, more strong. Just put in like floating paintings. And another thing also that is in France, Nantes, Loire River. I had the exhibition in the Nantes of the museum, and easy to pronounce it in the French. There, just front of the museum, there is the river. So I'm putting paintings. There is some of the, this is where I had the exhibition in Nantes, the buildings. This is a Korean master building and the Korean master drawing things, and the Sehando. So I'm just those of the two the images. I'm just the calligraphy, the kind of calligraphy with on the paper. This is paper, and I'm just about writing about some of my feeling to the French in here. We are say balmun. The Korean, the Oriental paintings all the times. Sometimes we just write down the other empty space. Also, here is the Korean. So this is in the baptism paintings. Also, that kind of paintings I had some years ago, 2 years ago, like in hanging paintings. It is in a very the weight, in a very the very long history for making the layer to layer to dropping still powder paintings. Something like this. Yeah, this is the precise you can see, but there are some lightings on the canvas. And about this piece of the this piece is one of my sculptures. The 2000, no, around 2000, I had the one big performance, 27 days in Korea, just carving the steel in soundproofing space. I will show to the later coming up to the video images. After that, I'm just sort of totally grinding up, like in a small the round beams. Yeah? Just about 200 kilograms. I'm just grinding, but I couldn't do just only 120 kilograms from that piece. So this is the left part of my sculptures. So I'm just stopped. I don't want to keep going to this piece. This is another part of my sculptures. This is the shape or not, I don't know. I don't think so that this is shapes. And I'm just the writing about something like this, the sculpture writings. And this is 10 meter by 10 meters, the cotton, the fabrics on I'm just made of the 10 meter by 10. Just like I had just in my performance myself. That times nobody come to me. I'm just performing in the night. And I'm putting in some days, sometimes raining or other dust, something, many things. I'm just lapping, and make it to, I want to go to some place. It is journey, kind of I want to go other place, not this place, but other place I don't know really. So, okay, let's go. Now it's a journey to the other this time. So before come to here, I was in the Colombia. Okay, let's go to the Colombia. What do I did? Just before last week, just last week. I'm just collecting over the canvas, around the 19 canvas. Sometimes in the street Sunday market, the free market, and somebody is the donation to me. Just in the frame, I'm just stitching the canvas, and I made two pieces, the biggest things, and the longest things. What I say, the 19 canvas, it is 19 countries in South America. So I'm just making the canvas. It is my part of the big jobs to make it work. This line is the Andes mountain, the South America of the big mountain there. What I say, like this is walking to in the Colombia, also now working in the dam at the Boulder. It is like a journeys to making my painting. Okay, let's see. I'll explain other things. Just about what I had many writings in there. Also this time I'm quite interesting about the Pablo Neruda, the poems. So I'm partly the Neruda poems on this by Spanish. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. And okay, let's see. Okay, something like this. Something. This is a 19 canvas. You know what I say? 13 countries of the South America. But I'm just 14. I want to make it a 14 canvas. The connection to the Panama to the north middle part. And other 5 pieces. This the the around of the South America, the middle part of the South America. This is Panama, and this is Brazil, and another. This is Chile. Okay, I'm just showing to like this. But this piece is not finished yet. I will go again, retouch again to there next year. I'm really waiting time, expecting about what's happening. Come to the next year. These paintings. This time, just I made a 6 piece of the big 5 feet of the still powder painting and the small things, and today I'm just the performance. This time, all the times when I make a trip of the journey of the paintings, there is topics. This time I had got the big topics, which is I saw the landscape through the blood spot whites of the eyes. I saw the landscape through the eyes, but eyes bloody shot, white of eyes. This is meaningful. Very precisely, I want to see that some part, the white part in the eyes. There is, I really they say reflecting the landscape on the eyes. This is what I understand the landscape. And I'm just today calligraphy on the performance when I do it. I saw that this landscape in the eyes, and I'm just working over this landscape. The land all the times making up and down, up and down. So they carry on to the luggages all the times make a sound 덜컹 덜컹 덜컹. I'm so tired. And I'm continue. I'm just working on the land. Yeah, okay. Let's go to the things like this. Also, like in the Colombia's where I make a performance. Like this things. Also the things quite similar in this time. And this landscape like this. I like sometimes the landscape with woman's leg. Sometimes man's leg is also, I like it. But the both of things is making a very sensitivity on my land to showing up. They're very interesting. And okay, let's go to the another things. I was in the last year, the summertime in Lucca, Italy. This is Lucca is a very old city in the middle age of the castle, wall castle of the city, surrounding wall castles. Under the wall castle there is a big round shapes, like in the cave shapes, cave of the space. I had when I there, I found of the dust. This is the title is Ask the Dust. Just sweeping the dust and sorting out the mountain on the floor like this. There, and then I'm made of some still powder painting dropping in here. It is another installation piece of my still powder paintings. It is kind of journey too, also. something like this. It's naturally get out to two mountain. It is just natural come out. To this very fine, this is very top, rough. Also, the another things that's called Beijing. I had some, like this, I had the holiday vacations. I'm just journey to the somewhere with my steel powder to making like this. This I made of this piece in Beijing in winter time, and I put in the snow, the really cold, colder than here, because there is so wet. Also the many the dust, the smelling, the charcoal smell. It is charcoals. I'm just make hammering and make small piece, put in the heating the system. And this one also that space. And I was the 2011, I was in the 10 maybe. I was in Lawrence in Kansas. In the Kansas University, they have the Spencer Museum. They invite me. I'm just making the big piece of in there. So this is another breeding piece. So I'm just making to the steel powder paintings, like kind of the quite similar to in here. My studio, that my studio in the Boulder? In the lobby of the visual complex. It's my studio. Thank you so much, come my studio and every day. I had the Kansas. My studio was in the Kansas, the Spencer Museum, one of the space. And after that, I'm just clean up and I'm making the exhibition to like am I doing things? And the exhibition to like this. So something like this. Okay, let's go Boulder on today. So just now journey to on the Boulder with my paintings. So just something like starting the first painting in here, first writings, white sun. I saw that I was in the red sun in Colombia, but now I'm white sun. Starting my calligraphy of this like this. And something like this about my feeling. Yeah, that is during my work, doing things, something like the putting outside. Okay, let's go to the things to. Okay, now I'm just in the grindings. I'm just grinding is my body of the work. My body of grinding is body of my work. Very somebody asked me, what is your work? I'm just grinding steel. This is main things. So I had actually I'm just two times the grindings. One thing's not finished yet in the PS1. Was just some accident. But last one was in the 2000 in Korea. 2003 I was due, but I'm not totally finished yet. So will be gonna be this year. I'm just grinding projects. The third time starting new things, big grindings for what I have planned for 3 years. And yeah, okay, just in other things to let's kind of the landscape to the photograph. So this is the what I say grinding project. So it is my house in the Seoul near mountain area. There is a looks so good. So I'm just changing to the like now to be in my house. I'm just changing to grinding house. So this is just grinding space. Will be people can see of it like this. Just I want to make the grinding house. What I doing? Only grinding? No, this times I want to make tools. This is what I say. No shapes, tool. Tools meaningful when just start. Let's go to the Iron Ages. There is started two ways. One is making the tools, make it cultivate to making the survival of the human. The other thing to make a weapon. So I'm just making the tool shapes. It is a spade and fork and other the gokgengi, something like this. I don't know. The three things is just present of the tool of the cultivate. So you're gonna be making like this, like this. I'm totally aware of the spaceship wares kind of things. So supply the air or something, oxygen, something like this. I want to make in the shapes, the spade. Just grinding. It's gonna take 1 year. And 600 will be coming out the 600 kilograms and shape of the spade. This is my last piece, right? The goal to my performance. And things in like this, the spade shape, and then around the amount of the filings. And these another things. After the 1 or 2 years, 3 years, I want to go to this somewhere, which is on the war place in Iraq or Afghanistan. There in the desert. I already checked about the place of the desert. There is many the broken tank. So I'm just in the grinding steel, grinding the tank. I'm totally making grinding, but it is not only my jobs. When I get this project, the really I want to invite of the all peoples to make grinding, make powder meaningful. I want to make landscape. No, the solid one. So we'll be making this piece. It's not just like grinding. Make powder is what I say like this, like landscape. So that is what I want. Yeah, thanks, Paul.
So I prepared a few things to talk about, and I hope that it will be almost as interesting as Jongku's work, which was really great. So I wanted to thank him first for his performance and also for giving me an excuse to talk about what I think is a really important issue in performance art. So as many of you who are still here probably already know, I am a librarian. I work at Norland. I'm the art and architecture librarian. So for me, one of the most interesting problems of performance is how and whether it can be preserved through documentation, right? That is what I would say documentation is the physical, visual, and written evidence that attests that any particular performance has actually happened, right? I'll move on a slide. And unfortunately, performance art, by its very definition, cannot be preserved, right? It doesn't last. It exists only during a defined time, and it can only really be experienced by its direct observers. It really just lives on in the memory of the people who experienced it, and by the artwork it leaves behind after the performance. And I think that this ephemerality is really key to performance art. Often, performance art has aimed to dematerialize the art object or to complicate its production. This mic, sorry about this mic, I'm not very used to it. So it's meant to complicate the production of works of art or even dematerialize the art object, right? And that challenges museums, archives, and libraries even by depriving us of a really savable original, right? That has long been privileged in art history. We've got to have something to put on the wall, right? And it's this institutional critique that has driven many other performance artists to limit documentation of their performance works. I think we're lucky that Jongku let us take as many iPhone pictures as we wanted, right? Here's, for example, Tino Segal doesn't let any images of his performance work be taken. So here's an image from MoMA's catalog here. It's pretty illustrative of what happened, right? So often, instead, we use documentation such as photographs of video of performance and use it in place of some kind of original object. But when documented, performance art really just becomes something else. And as I think Peggy Phelan said it very well, performance cannot be saved, recorded, documented, or otherwise participate in the circulation of representations of representations. Once it does so, it becomes something other than performance. So essentially, right, a video of a performance becomes video art. A photograph becomes photography. And often we think of video, right, as the gold standard of preservation. But even video really can't replicate the relationship between the artist and the viewer. It can't replicate that sense of being there. You can really only know what happened, not why or what it felt like, right? I think anyone who watched a video of Jongku's performance would not really feel the same things, know the same things, experience the performance in the same way that we did when we saw it. So video is still really a very mediated experience. So then the understanding that we cannot savor performance, I think there's still a lot of really good reasons to try to document them, right? And I think there's a couple ones I'll talk about right now. First of all, without documentation, performance art's place in art history would be really seriously compromised, right? If we had no pictures or videos, performance would just sort of disappear. So to scholars, we need this evidence, this documentation to analyze it. And also, right, when you document performance, you can democratize it, right? When you don't have an object, you don't have a video, only a few people can see that, right? So this is Chris Burden, right, who got shot in the arm, and there wasn't very many people there, right? But now that since through these videos, lots of other people can experience what happened. But despite all these really compelling reasons to document performance and make it live on, it's still really highly problematic to document performance art. Performance, right, and documentation fixes a performance in a physical manifestation and allows it to be placed in a museum in its collections, right? Often contrary to the original intent of many performances, which was meant to be an unmediated work of art, with no physical or temporal remove between the artist and the viewers, which is what happens when you just show a photograph. As well as, while documentation can serve to democratize, it also serves to commodify performance, right? For example, when you document something, it enters the art market, and the resultant pieces can be sold, and photographs can be auctions, and videos can be acquired by museums. You can see this photograph was a gift of art in the public to the Getty. So it's already started taking place in this capitalistic world here. And I think most egregiously, there's been a tendency of documentation to replace the original performance, right? Such documentation, I think does everyone recognize this? Yeah? Joseph Beuys. This photograph in particular has become so famous and so iconic in its continued reproduction as a stand-in for the performance as a whole, right? And this representation just really reduces a complex work that in its original lasted for several hours. He did this, right? It's now reduced to this single image, right? And we know that it's pretty iconic because when I was looking through all of our art history textbooks for the earlier slide, this picture was in every single one of them. As well as often the resultant works from a performance can also tend to supplant the performance that generated them. Here's another example. This is Matthew Barney's drawing Restraint 14, where he dangled off the bridge at FS MoMA. And their catalog calls it an installation with it's made of video and climbing equipments and self-lubricating plastic, not sure what that is, graphite, and wall drawings. Only the image here suggests that there's a larger story. And I think this also makes sense for Jongku's work, right? With its complex interplay between performance, video, and object. Without that memory of the performance, the resultant works can be lost of some of its meaning. So I would say instead it's forms of remembrance that are not documentational, that seem to most authentically fit with performance art. The memories and the stories of the viewers, right? Oral tradition, essentially, as well as the traces, remains, and artworks produced during the performance, and that these serve as indexes of the original event. And I really like Kira O'Reilly's her quote about how her own performance art would live on, and I'll read that for you. The work continues to exist in its remains, memories and objects, the bloodied brandy glasses and tablecloth, the now fading scars on my body, the stories that the guests may or may not have told after the event, private anecdotal accounts they might have felt moved to speak. Perhaps the body of this text is a residue, that which is left, an act of remembering and rewriting and of retracing myself. I really like that one. But these forms of memory we usually don't even consider them sufficient for the aims of democratization, study, long-lasting preservation. So this really does lead to that need to physically document. But I would argue that this fraught relationship the performance has with its own history sort of reflects the Western tradition's privileging of material and written evidence over oral tradition and memory. And it's a very similar dichotomy that defines much of performance art. In performance, the body of the artist, right, and the relationship between the artist and the viewer replaces the object. Replaces the object as the locus of meaning, right? And memory, like performance, is also a body-based practice, right? Existing only in the mind and body of the viewers. As well as, I would say, in the relationship between the storyteller and the listener. Making it really impermanent. And so there's this parallel divide between the two, memory and documentation, performance, and object. But for performance to really be understood and studied, to be distributed democratically, to be long remembered, it really has to cross these lines and make a sort of what I would call an uneasy alliance with documentation. So essentially, what do we do when we study performance art? I'd say you have to recognize the mediated experience for what it is, except that you just cannot ever re-experience the performance. When you study, I'd say gather all the documentation so that not one single piece of evidence can predominate over everything else. And you can really glimpse a fuller picture through multiple viewpoints and multiple accounts. And I think this is where librarians, archivists, and museum professionals come in, right? Hopefully we can help you find a wide variety of material. We've gathered it, we've saved it. And I'd say most importantly that I would recommend that you see performance art, that you remember it, and that you tell people about it.
So you just opened a can of worms, I think. Subject of performance art has been written about a lot, and you summed it up in about less than 10 minutes, I think, so thank you. My name's William Morrow. I'm the Associate Curator of Contemporary Art at the Denver Art Museum, and thank you, Deborah and Sammy, for inviting me here tonight. Rosalie Goldberg, some of you know her. She's written extensively about performance art, and I'm sure it's in your library. But she also started the Performance Art Festival in New York, which you should be at next time. It just finished last November. The next one will be in a year's time. She said quite elegantly that the concept of live performance is the humanistic loophole that subverts the omnipresent media. So I think that's self-explanatory, but to take it, I think it adds to what you were saying, that it's, and you look at the sort of forefathers of performance art, they were reacting to. I think she's speaking specifically about performance art in the 21st century. If you look at performance artists like John Cage, Rauschenberg, Namjoon Pak, Yoko Ono, Capro, these guys in the 60s were doing performance and for a very different purpose. It wasn't about inclusion of the audience. It was more about a response to the dissatisfaction or status quo and institutional representation of artists. And I think falls into this category of artists working today that it's very difficult to categorize. Some of you may have seen this exhibition at the Denver Art Museum last summer or last fall of Nick Cave's work, and I've written about his relationship to performance, and I think it comes into play here as well. There's this group of artists that it falls into this category of artists that are really blurring the boundaries. I think that the artists I mentioned in the 60s have sort of breaking down the barriers where they've legitimized performance art in institutions, and we no longer have to have that conversation. Fast forward 40 years, 50 years, we're now talking about the way institutions are hiring curators to curate performance. And now we're looking at the blurring of lines between performance, craft, or in this case, the process, and the transparency that institutions are sort of celebrating. And I think what's appealing to that is, and stop me if this doesn't make sense, but what's appealing to it is I think that it sort of, it makes it unpretentious, I guess, or makes institutions unpretentious, and I think it's what attracts museums to it. I think it's popular, but I still think there's a lot of exploration in this field that to sort of understand what it means. And so kind of I thought, in an effort to kind of contextualize the work, I really was kind of going back at looking at your history, and now seeing your performance, I'm even more confused than I was before.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
because I think you do blur so many different boundaries that we've sort of touched on. But I'm sorry. I was thinking specifically of process art, because when I said I would come and be a part of this, I think I read somewhere that you were referred to as the steel guy. The other steel guy that we think of is Richard Serra. And you might not necessarily think of these two artists in the same room, but I was specifically thinking, apart from the trappings of formalism, and the sort of precision that goes into Serra's work, I think some of his best work is that the pieces that have represent, and even more recent works, in fact, and not the works in the 60s, but the works that, like his ink drawings, if you've seen those, remind me very much of your hanging pieces that you illustrated towards the end, where you're sort of immersed in them, but you're aware of the artist's hand and the flaws. They sort of embody the flaws of the artist, which in turn are a metaphor for our own flaws, which I think is quite beautiful. So that was one sort of precedent that I was thinking of, that it makes it so interesting to think about beyond just the performance, So you have this thinking about process art, and we're thinking about process. You're talking about Linda Baglis, Robert Morris, and I mentioned Richard Serra, and there are many others, but there's a specific period in the 60s that referred to the process and formation of art, the idea of, and I wrote here, the gathering, sorting, collating, associating, patterning, and moreover the initiation of actions and proceedings. And so how does that make sense with the work here? The grinding process, there's that physicality that we don't actually get to see, but we know in order to get the little mountain of powder, it requires hours and hours and hours and hours of grinding. So there's that physicality and that process that is just as much a part of the I think you try to touch on that at the end, is just as much a part of the painting as other aspects. But so there's this idea of process art, and process art often entails an inherent motivation, a rationale, and intentionality. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what you, I think one of the things that does not translate for audiences here, and you talk about this, the idea of the three elements of calligraphy, poetry, and landscape. That's a very Eastern perspective that I don't totally understand.
Right.
And so that's something to think about, I think. And then there's the paint, just the sheer painterliness of your work. Tomorrow I'm speaking with Pat Steer in Denver. It's a private lunch tomorrow. We're doing this Q&A and celebrating the unveiling of her work. But there's this huge this corporation property owner has acquired these enormous waterfall paintings of Pat Steer by Pat Steer that'll be on public display on 1818 California Street in this newly renovated building. So you have to come check that out. They're slightly earlier pieces, but I'm thinking, I don't know if you've ever met Pat, but her process she developed in the late 80s is this very unique technique of dripping the paint onto the canvas. And I couldn't help but think, because I was preparing for that talk tomorrow, but couldn't help but think of your process, which is very similar in the fact that it has this sort of chance and unpredictability to the way that whether it's the ink or in this case the steel shavings fall onto the canvas. And I think that's what's always attracted me to Pat's work, and I find that quite beautiful in your work as well. So that's something I'm curious how chance comes into play into your work. So we can recap, but then speaking of chance, and I think I'd love to hear more about it. It was a little difficult to hear earlier, so I'll just repeat it. But you mentioned earlier, back in 1997, that 3 of your iron bar pieces were stolen. I don't know if some of you may have missed that point, but that must have been really sad for you. And I didn't realize that you actually recovered one of the pieces, but you did mention that you recovered one of them. But then, so 1997, you created this piece with what you were quite resourceful. It sounds like it was a very tough time for you, and you created the first sort of mountain, if you will. And then I loved to hear you talk more about how this phrase, how can I measure the biggest and the smallest in the world? And you mentioned in your book several other phrases that I could bring up, but I wanted to bring this point up, though, that I was thinking about, because you graduated from Chelsea in 1997. That's or 1996 rather, just a year before the famous YBA show from the Saatchi collection of the young British artists.
Right.
And that's a very interesting time to be in London.
Right.
So maybe that's a point where I can sort of pass it over to you. But the Maureen Paley, a London gallerist, Maureen Paley, who's written a lot and showed a lot of these early artists like Matt Coleshaw and Sarah Lucas, said the thing that came out of the YBA generation was boldness, a belief that you can do anything. And I feel like your work is quite brave and sort of pushing boundaries and trying new materials. And I can imagine that was quite difficult for you at the time. And I'm curious, were you hanging out with these guys, or was there a dialogue, or was it Goldsmith and Chelsea don't talk to each other or something? But I'm curious if you could talk a little bit about the beginnings of your work. I touched on a lot there, but how does chance come into your work? I mean, do you think about that? Do you think about the unpredictability of the way that the materials rust, and like you're doing here? Maybe that's something to talk about.
It is really hard to speak about things. Also how explain about that one. It's not easy. But simply, when I learned the art, artists make drawing, making the painting, make sculpturing. It is art. I learned. But other way of what I understand slightly, when I grinding steel, I realized my steel grinding steel, it is before I'm just calligraphy of the stick of the black stick Chinese, make Chinese ink. This is nothing to any purpose, just doing things. So we are saying simply meditations. But I don't want to say meditations. It is the big things, too much big. That's why I'm just like doing things. It is gonna be another layer to come to make art. You know, all the times make purpose to, I'm just making one painting or make one sculpture. It is not enough for myself. So I don't know, you know, the what things. No, that's why I'm saying, I'm just grinding still. It is another, like, you know, another layer. So there, the artist, they have three things. It is poem. Poem is a philosophy, really philosophy. And the calligraphy, it is really skillful and then many patient things. And the paintings also. Paintings, this is a real art. This is art. Just in the visual art. So we are saying nowadays, we are saying visually making art. But I don't say I'm plus at the calligraphy and poem.
You showed the video briefly. I don't know if you can maybe go online and see some more of these kind of videos from your website. But the grinding room that where you're actually doing this is a soundproof room. You're wearing
Right.
this suit with oxygen. No one else is in the room. It's dark. It probably is really hot. And yet you don't you know, when you see the paintings or when you're doing the performance tonight, you're sort of removed from that process. It seems like there's a lot of dualities in your work.
Okay, right.
And dualities, I mean, you think about the idea of steel being this symbolic, it's probably the most symbolic, you know, in terms of thinking about the industrial postmodern world. And then when it's reduced and it's sort of meant to, it symbolizes power and strength, and then you reduce it to a powder form and it becomes this like ephemeral sort of dust that you can just blow away. I think that's amazing. I don't know if that's intentional, but I mean, I think it's something you're part of your journey. You mentioned journey a lot. I think every artist is on this journey, but I wonder, you know, one of the dualities that I thought was interesting, maybe you can speak to why you do this, and you mentioned it earlier about this emptiness, but the idea of videotaping, why are you videoing the work? Because the nature of performance, the action, the sort of the presence.
Okay. Yeah. Is what you mean? You know why I'm using the video? Which part of video? I'm just like in a small camera.
Well, I'm specifically thinking of the video, like in the performance tonight, and then of course, and then you have these other videos where you've actually incorporated monitors into your work, like Lin Tina Mao and some other artists come to mind. It's where the monitors become very sculptural, but in the performance in particular, do you see the screen as your canvas?
Right. The today what I say mobile landscape.
Excuse me. Yes. Mobile landscape.
Yeah, good questions. Really, these questions I never asked anybody from anybody. That's why I'm so interesting. With the small camera, it's like only performance like a calligraphy. It is the Korean, the Oriental of some of the big master of the calligrapher, they brush up like this on the public space. When I get this piece, really so boring. What I'm doing now in the calligraphy, showing up the calligraphy is not important. I'm just, I'm more important, I'm grinding the steel, make powder. Powder, it comes down to making the landscapes. And the calligraphy is poems. Calligraphy is just, what I had feelings. Now what I had feeling, I'm just make a poem to the connection to the audience or something. Yeah.
I wonder, you know, your work is quite beautiful, even just seen by itself. So I'm wondering what you feel the performance aspect where you invite everyone to watch you
Right.
make the work. What do you feel that adds to the work? What is the sort of letting everyone watch you work
Yeah,
and make
right.
this a mobile landscape in front of their eyes? How does that enhance, or why do you do that?
Why do I do that?
Maybe ask with an answer. I wonder, are you purposely trying to implicate the viewer into the work? Because I think if we were just to watch you paint or do the calligraphy, we could walk away and that would be that. We're just voyeurs. But when you see the woman's leg in the piece, or you see your own leg in the piece, you become part of the work, and it's no longer just you. It's the audience and you. Well, that's what I was sort of thinking about earlier, specifically with like Nick Cave and the Astor Gates and some of these other artists who are including the audience and breaking down that barrier between the audience and the artist. So is that your intent, to implicate the viewer and but then it doesn't really, the same way I've heard people ask you, well, what does your poem mean? And you always say you avoid the question, I think, but
Wow, yeah. Yeah, I'm not the poet, but I'm making a poem myself, what I say. But this poem, I already told you about my work. Each of time, each of place, different make writings. When I these writings, this time, what I, just breathe, every time I'm just staying here in the, sometimes walking in the street, walking in the outside, and on the way of the bus, I'm just look at something. All the times what I had a feeling here, and surrounded my circumstance in here, and then um, this is very honest to speak myself. So uh, I saw the landscape through the eyes. This is this is from the Colombia to come here to and making a like a journey to basically okay, this is last my speak. I'm interested about human or sad, no happy things. I'm just sad about the humans. So that's why I'm so sad all the times. Sometimes I'm just crying myself because of I don't know what things. It's mentally problem maybe. Also, I saw that the landscape from the eyes. That is a sad story. And I'm walking on the land, and up, down, it makes sound, 덜컹, 덜컹. It is sad story. So, this is the under the knees of my bottom, where I had a feeling, which is very without any things, it's just naked things to the writings on my canvas. It is my work. It is my poems. It's like the man-made of the painting was my paintings are man-made, but I wanted to make one things from my body to my paintings. It is like ask to my painting, are you happy? Are you what I now make sad story and crying or something like this? Do you understand to each other? Or asking to my paintings or something like this.
maybe you should write more happy poetry. I think Pablo Neruda is not the most cheerful, but yeah, I think you're a romantic at heart. But I am curious, because you've said this before, and I've read that you've said this before, that you are sad, but and the first sign of some political engagement is this piece with the tank. and I'm fascinated by this. I think it would take you a long time to grind a tank, and I worry about you in the desert and the
Right.
tank. But what saddens you? Does war sadden you, or what's?
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, you don't have to tell everyone what saddens you, but you can say never mind. But
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine things in Seoul are a little different than they are in Boulder, Colorado, where we're all really happy that we got 14 inches of snow yesterday and we can go snowboarding tomorrow. But maybe are you sad because of the current political situation in Korea? What saddens you?
When I say sad, it is about the human things. I'm sometimes so happy, to meet my good friend. It is certain things, but what I'm making the something basement, human is sad. It my philosophy understand. So also the grind steel and the grind tank. It is the sad story also, to showing up my sad. The weapon, also the tool, the different things. I got some pictures in Colombia. Some of the people stay against some government with the many tools of the farm tools. They're hanging to the hand.
A pick.
Yeah. Something like this is sad also. I don't care about, I don't involve the politic things. If I want the politic things, I'm just grinding the steel, the tank in the border of the South Korea and North Korea. It make a big issue there. But it is no, I don't want to say about the involved the political things. I'm just grinding the steel, make powder to the showing of the landscape. It is my things. The powder make landscape.
Are there any questions? Yes.
I think I understand like why you use the steel, but why do you apply it to the canvas? Is it like a discourse with tradition, or?
Why? Not discuss the why tradition. This is I'm saying to the Korean traditional way of the poem and the calligraphy and paintings, but this is another my reference. But I'm using on the canvas. This is a good purpose. The good showing the expression to the showing up by steel powder. The steel powder, it is the cotton steel powder, and between cotton, steel powder and cottons, they could matching for each others. That's why I'm using canvas. And then I need the wet, making absorbing to each other to attach to make things.
That's something we haven't talked about. This idea of forcing this sort of the time to, how can I say that? But obviously time is an important factor of your work, and by forcing the rust, you're sort of forcing nature in a way. Would you like to elaborate on that? Why do you? I mean, it sort of goes back to, I think, to sort of my thoughts with Pat Steer, or this idea of trying to encapsulate a natural phenomenon onto a canvas is a ominous thing. But maybe speak about that. About how does time play a role, or why are you?
Right.
Your engagement with nature, I think, is quite important.
Yeah, this the rust of the oxidized the steel, the color changes things. Really, I'm all the time say about I'm expecting something from my painting, from my thinking in the future. If I'm not expecting, it's not interesting what I'm living in here. So I'm expecting. After the 1 year, what's happening in my paintings? Someone, the collector, they got my paintings. They asked very wondering about this painting will be changed, how to do. I'm saying, oh, really good things. You got first number one nothing the changeable paintings, but the other one is not changeable. You all the time say things so boring. Maybe it is good things. So that is another my meaning for the using of the canvas on the filings on the canvas. That is another my expecting what I. This is my intention things.
I have a question about the grinding room. This will be open to the
Okay,
public,
right.
right? Are you looking forward to people coming in? And
No, yes, right. Okay, then just I'm this is 2000 in Seoul, so that time is not totally soundproofing rooms.
It's not what?
So totally make soundproofing rooms.
It's not totally
Yeah,
soundproof.
yeah. Because anyway, and that's why also I needed the fan to the making out the dust to something that the facility ventilations, but I couldn't make totally like this machine also. That's why during the carving steel, many dust come to me and then very hot hitting. That's why a little bit open that. That's that reason for big noise come out. But this is very. I use the total of the space in the galleries, for 1 month. So I'm just grinding for 27 days. But my plan was the 27 days I making around 200 kilograms, but couldn't do because no good facilitated ventilation or something like this. So this is this my. No, I don't want to like this, but also that times make a photo the recording about my doing things. The slightly the cameraman they open it maybe make some exciting some sound. But I will make the performance this year in my house, the grinding house, definitely soundproofing, and nothing to we can see of I'm just separating this inside and outside.
You said a lot of your work is uses brown, black hues. Is there a reason you stay away from color?
Actually my work is not very colorful.
Yeah, we know. That's why we asked you.
Yeah, it is. The painting there is showing the brown. Looks like brown. Looks like lead. Looks like black. Not totally. It is black. Not totally brown. We cannot say that because that is natural colors. So the man-made colors. Oh, this red. This is brown. This is black. This is white. But my painting, my works, there is no exactly what is colors. I don't know. That's natural colors. That's why simple colors. No variety colorful things.
But the color that results, so whether it's a dark brown or a rust or a gold, has to do with some variation of either your control of where you are actually fixing it, as well as sort of the landscape or the atmosphere which you're at. So in Colorado, it's oxidized differently than it would in Columbia. There is some, but there also is some control that you have over the choice, correct?
Yes, right. Yeah, this time, my paintings that comes of the change of colors is not easy, very steadily, little bit change up. So I'm sometimes using the salt. Will be also the Colombia. I was in a very also there is no humid. But when I was in the China, when I was in Korea, when I was in the other place, something, really different feeling of the paintings. So this time is Boulder. It's like very the clear paintings, like Boulder weathers, like Denver weather, good shining. And also I can control to the stop of the rust, change of the rust by the resin, the spray or something. But also I'm not sure about in the future, in the like 100 after 100 years, 1,000 years, my paintings what's happening? Someone is really disappear. But we just we can make a proof of this something when you go to the museum, there is a many old antique of from the Iron Ages generation. We got to steal some images on the wares or something like this. So that when I get to this piece, really so nice. Like when I get the old piece of the aging of the wares or the antiques, really so looks like so good.
Thank you all for coming tonight.
Yes, good. Yeah, thank you so much coming here. My bloody, the horrible speak, be patient mind, keeping in here. Thank you so much.